Hello everybody and welcome to A Wild Camper's Diary. My name is Ben and the aim of this podcast, as always, is for me to offer you my thoughts on the world of wild camping, reflections and insight on my own experiences and hopefully some inspiration for you along the way. So, welcome to episode 6, which I have decided to call The Cost of Camping. And before I get into any of that, you can probably tell by the sound of my voice that I'm not recording the episode inside this week. I am actually outside, and I'm outside of London as well. So I've taken myself out for the day, out of London. I'm actually in Sussex. I'm sitting in the middle of a park in Sussex, and I just wanted to get out and be outside. I'm surrounded by leaves. We're having a bit of a false autumn here in England at the moment. A lot of the leaves are being shed from the trees. There's blackberries everywhere on the bushes all around me. In fact, I'm probably going to go and pick some of those when I have finished recording this podcast. So, the cost of camping. We are living through unprecedented times financially. It really is a bit of a challenge, isn't it? And I'm not just speaking on behalf of the UK at the moment. I know wherever you listen, a lot of countries in the world are experiencing a lot of difficulties. Everything's going up in price. You know, the cost of fossil fuels and of course energy pricing, inflation. And a lot of people, as a result of that, are cutting back on things. They're spending less. They're cutting out the things that they don't really feel that they need. So this has kind of got me thinking this week about how this impacts what we do, or what I do, what we do as wild campers. Wild camping up to a point is free. I mean, we don't have to really pay anyone to kind of go and wild camp. It is our choice to go out and do that. But obviously we do need to pay for the equipment that we use, the clothing that we wear, and so on. So I suppose it's free up to a point. Now, on YouTube, if you're a viewer of YouTube, you use YouTube, you will notice a lot of wild campers out there, a lot of people running channels using some very expensive kit. Sometimes running into hundreds of pounds worth if you watch those loadout videos, those videos when people unpack their rucksacks and show you all the wonderful bits and bobs that they have. And for some of those loadout videos, you will notice quite a lot of high-end brands. Now, what I'm not saying here is it's wrong to have that kit. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not here to tell people what to buy. But I am aware that that does cost a lot of money. And sometimes, especially if you're new to wild camping, it can be a little bit intimidating perhaps, thinking that you have to have the latest model of sleeping bag, the latest Osprey rucksack or something like that. And some of us, even more experienced wild campers, might just be wanting to make savings and perhaps be a bit more frugal in how we operate our hobby, wild camping. So then I find myself asking the question, and perhaps more so recently, is do I actually need that camping item, or do I just fancy it? Do I just think, yeah, that'll be kind of nice to have, it'll look good, it'll feel good, when actually what I have already is good enough? Perhaps that can do the job. Perhaps I can hang on to the current model if there's nothing wrong in it. Can I mend it? Can I just make do, perhaps? But if I do want to upgrade, or I do want to have a change of kit, does it actually have to be brand spanking new with the labels on? Could it be second-hand? Can I maybe compromise on getting a previous model? I often do that actually with camping gear in my life, or gadgets, or phones and things like that. I don't always go for the very latest model. You can save so much money just by going with the model just before, which is sometimes not that different to the new one that they've just released. The other thing which I have thought about before, I have used before, and that is army surplus gear. Here in the UK, we've got lots and lots of army surplus physical stores and online stores, and I'm sure in your country as well, you'll have that similar kind of setup where you can go and buy very good quality camping equipment, hiking equipment. It might not be the most lightweight, if weight saving is your thing, but actually it's very good quality, and I have a few friends who swear by it. and that's actually all they use. And you can save so much money by investing in that kind of gear. And that is something I'm thinking a little bit more of now. Maybe that is something I might return to, I might start looking at again. I also find myself gravitating towards website sales, which seem to be nearly all the time. eBay, end-of-line items, outlets. Some of the camping manufacturers, the camping websites will have an outlet section or an outlet store on eBay, and you just have to spend a bit of time kind of digging around, and you'd be surprised, I think, on what you could pick up. There's also Facebook Marketplace as well, which I must try and get a bit more into. I have bought and sold one or two things on there, and I know other friends have too, and you can save quite a bit of money that way. And of course, there is nothing more satisfying than bagging a good old bargain, whether it's camping equipment or non-camping equipment. So I think myself and others maybe might have to start doing this a little bit more, as we have to start tightening our belts. Just to go back to what I was saying earlier, here in the UK, we are experiencing some very, very high energy pricing, and our prices this year have increased by 50%, I think, on last year, and unless the government does something else, it's due to go up by, I think, over 80% in the autumn, and it's due to then go up again. It's pretty scary, but we don't want to stop wild camping, do we? So I'm just offering you my thoughts on this. And also, little trade secret coming up, you don't really have to have expensive gear to wild camp. You really don't. I would recommend, if you're thinking about wild camping, or you're unsure, or you're wanting to get back into it, is to do the research on the gear first. Look at the free reviews on YouTube. Look at what people are saying. Spend what you can. So perhaps don't spend the lowest amount, but spend what you can, and then just get out and just enjoy it. Because I do think sometimes, and I've spoken about this before in online forums and with fellow wild campers, is that people can get put off. You see so many people, dressed up to the nines in Osprey and Rab gear and whatever it is. And yeah, I think it's great. Those brands are great and they make great quality stuff, but it shouldn't stop you going and doing this wonderful hobby, wild camping, if you can't afford it. There's a YouTuber I watch called Daley Outdoors, and he's really into recommending budget kit, kit that you can use if you're on a bit of a budget. And he demonstrates very well, actually, that you don't have to have all the latest gear, but actually it can be a very affordable hobby. And I'll put the link to that channel in the podcast notes. So in summary, I'm not here telling people to stop buying high-end wild camping gear or expensive gear. It's everyone's choice. But personally, I'm reflecting on the challenging times that we're in at the moment. I'm trying to perhaps live a bit more within my means and just consider a little bit more about how I can make the best hobby in the world, in my humble opinion, just really work well for me and for you as well. So that brings us to the end of another podcast. Thanks very much for listening. Enjoy any wild camps that you have planned, and I'll see you again for another episode of A Wild Camper's Diary.